Ohio State is favored by, I think, 40 or 41 points against Indiana this coming Saturday. Yeah, they're favored by 40 points. They're given a 98.4% chance, according to ESPN's Football Power Index, to win the game. And I find Penn State, Maryland to be more interesting. I find even Michigan, Nebraska to be more interesting. I mean, Indiana's just bottom tier of the East. And I think that there are more pressing concerns than previewing Ohio State versus Indiana. And amongst these pressing concerns is Ohio State's performance against Northwestern, and not really that one individual game is cause for concern, but that game plus how Ohio State reacted to the weather and the fact that it's November, the weather is not going to be pretty in November, is causing a lot of conversation. I have seen a fair amount of Ohio State fans talk about how Michigan's the physically tougher team, and after Ohio State's game against Northwestern, there is actually, finally, some recognition from people across the country that Michigan could come into Columbus and win, which even before the season began, many thought was impossible. But I'm not here to tell you necessarily that I think that Ohio State has a definite problem with weather and with physicality and their response to adversity, or to say that they're completely fine. I'm here to talk about their performance against Northwestern, preview a little bit about the Indiana game, and talk about the forecast, and more importantly, hear from you Ohio State fans. Do you think that your team does have a problem with physicality? Do you think that your team, when you take away the pass game, or not even take it away, but just limit it, has nothing else to work with? And really looking at this team, they had issues against Michigan last year, partially because of the weather. Now I think that if it's a clear day and not snowing, I still think Michigan wins, and wins handily. But we have seen before Ryan Day teams and this modern Ohio State spread, and even spread offenses in general, we have seen struggle in this kind of environment that the Big Ten really lives in, north of the Mason-Dixon line, where snow, gusty winds, cold, constricting temperatures live and thrive. So if you are an Ohio State Buckeye fan, or if you're just someone who watches the Buckeyes, and you're a college football fan, tell me your thoughts down below right this very minute. And make sure to like this video and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Do you have concerns about the physicality and the toughness of this Ohio State team? Do you have concerns about their run game? It did do modestly against Northwestern overall. It did great once C.J. Stroud got involved in the run game. It was average or below average before he got in there. Again, Northwestern actually outgained Ohio State in total yards, 285 to 283 in total yards. Northwestern and Ohio State had similar numbers on the ground. Ohio State with 207 rushing yards, Northwestern with 206. The difference was Ohio State had 5.9 yards per carry and 3 rushing touchdowns. Northwestern had 3.5 yards per carry and 1 rushing touchdown. That right there was the biggest difference. Another noticeable difference was the fact that C.J. Stroud was 10 of 26 in that game for 76 yards, 2.9 yards per carry, and he had a 59.3 QBR and a sub 100 passer rating. Now, there were gusts of 50 miles per hour in that game, and it was rainy, and the weather was just ugly. It was a very ugly game. Bad performance by Ohio State coupled with bad weather, you're going to get a ugly, never-seen-before performance by the first-round quarterback, that is C.J. Stroud, who I still think is the best, if not the best, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. But there is cause for concern, because if it happens once, it might be a fluke, it might not be. But Saturday, in Columbus, Ohio, just a quick Google search, it's going to be a high of 40, low of 29, precipitation's 50% chance of rain, and that is the highest at around noon. This is a noon game. It is on Big Noon Kickoff. Winds are expected to be around 9 miles per hour. I saw at least yesterday or 2 days ago, there was a chance of gusts up to 20 miles per hour. So it's not going to be clear skies for certain in Columbus, but certainly better weather than it was at Ryan Field. The question around the talk about the weather and everything surrounding that, whether it's the physicality or the run game, isn't meant to have a conversation about Indiana or even Maryland. Ohio State can afford to play bad games against those opponents, and with sheer talent alone, they will win. The question is Michigan. Because Michigan, even from my own perspective, I look at Ohio State and Michigan, and I think I think that Ohio State's heads, Michigan is tails. Heads actually carries more weight than tails does. A coin isn't 50-50 even. But that's how much better I think Ohio State is than Michigan. They're better, but not by a whole lot, in my opinion. Ohio State has the higher ceiling. They're more explosive. They have better offensive play calling. They have a defense that also has a higher ceiling just because of their coordinator, the aggressiveness of their defense, and versatility of their defensive ends and edge players, like JT Tuimoloau, for example. Michigan doesn't have a player like that. They don't. But Michigan is the more consistent team. Michigan's defense all around is more sound. Watching the comparisons in the Penn State game, for example, I know that's transitive property, but looking at other games too, I think Michigan's defense is more sound. Arkansas State, the Notre Dame game, Michigan is the more sound defense. Their offense, I don't know if you'd call it more sound, but it's certainly more physical. They can run the ball with greater strength, power, proficiency, speed. They certainly have the better interior three on the offensive line. Paris Johnson Jr. is one of the best tackles in the nation, so I think there is an argument to say that Ohio State might have the better tackles, but Michigan's interior three with Zach Zinter, Trevor Keegan, and Alu Alawatimi might be unmatched nationwide. Ohio State, there's no doubt they have all the potential in the world. Like I said, they have a higher potential, a higher ceiling than Michigan does. They're number 2 in FPI. They're number 3 in total team talent. They're number 1 in efficiency nationally. They're number 1 in offensive efficiency, number 5 in defensive efficiency. They're number 110 in special teams efficiency. But all around, they're a darn good team. Not just with talent, but also with utilizing said talent and developing said talent. I mean, they have one of the best staffs in the nation. Who are we kidding? Here's where the crux of the issue is, though. They have the number 1 scoring offense and are number 14 in yards per game. And the number 1 scoring offense with that number 14 yards per game shows how efficient they are. They're not top 10 in yards per game, and yet they score the most points nationally. They're pretty efficient in that category. However, they're number 32 in rush yards per game. They're not even top 25. And a lot of those yards per game, a lot of those, big, explosive plays that they have gotten on the ground, a lot of those good games that they have on the ground, whether you look at Miyan Williams, whether you look at Treveyon Henderson, the games where they have struggled rushing the football are against teams that either have talent on defense or extremely efficient on defense. Penn State, Iowa are Penn State and Iowa are great examples of this. And the Northwestern game, it did take them a while to get rolling. It really did. Once Ohio State finally utilized his legs, Northwestern, likely not expecting that because CJ Stroud never runs the football, that was the straw that broke the camel's back, was CJ Stroud running the football. But over Ohio State's past 3 games, they have had moments where they do not look good running the football. Michigan, there hasn't been a game this year where Michigan has looked any worse than average or above average at running the football, including against Iowa, where they were above average. And, Penn State, they looked elite running the football. Ohio State's offense looked bad against Northwestern. And will it consistently struggle again in bad weather? That is the ultimate question. It's the ultimate question. And sorry for the typo. It should be looked, not look, but it's all right, fine and dandy. That's really the ultimate question here. Will it consistently struggle again? The Indiana game will tell some things. Maybe Maryland if the forecast is, again, looking like a groggy day. But Michigan, it looks like it's not going to be too good weather. I think gusts are 20 to 30 miles per hour there. It looks like it could be snowing or raining day of November 26th. That's a very early forecast, so it's probably going to be inaccurate. But the question is, if for, the second game in a row, or even if Maryland, the third game in a row, Ohio State struggles and it's in, circumstances where the weather isn't in their favor, and you're meeting up against a Michigan team who bad weather favors them, because when you have bad weather, it's more about the run game and the physicality. Are you, as an Ohio State fan, concerned if there's bad weather in the Michigan game? And do you think that this Ohio State team, if faced with bad weather, or if their pass game is limited, whether it's good weather or not, let's say Michigan finds a way to limit their pass game, are you confident in the Buckeye rushing attack to be able to do their job? Comment your thoughts down below, and that's going to be the end of this video. If you like it, please make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and comment your thoughts on this video down in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, click the notification bell, and if you haven't already, please make sure to follow the channel on Spotify. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you around. Bye.